of millions. As our planet heats up and natural resources grow scarce, conflicts will worsen. The water crisis is poised to become our next greatest threat. Recent weeks, we have record-setting temperatures, raging fires, and devastating floods. It looks as if Mother Nature is fighting back. But few of her weapons are as destructive as the ones that we have created ourselves. Never in the past 40 years has the risk of using nuclear weapons been greater than it is today. This ominous reality calls all of us to unite around the issue of disarmament. This also holds true for small arms and light weapons, the proliferation of which is a great obstacle to our development and progress around the world. We must work to stop their illicit trade. We simply cannot go back to business as usual as we understood that before the pandemic. We will not be returning to the old normal. The only way to achieve better outcomes is to transform. The contours of the transformation we need are already known. The Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development, the Sendai Framework, the Paris Agreement, and our common agenda all point us in the right direction. What remains to be seen is whether we will deliver. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the world is looking to the United Nations for answers. As the organization's chief deliberative body, the General Assembly bears a special responsibility. Having begun my tenure as president, I aim to harness the great talents of this community of member states in forging the systemic solutions needed to transform our world. In accepting this privilege, I vowed to serve as an agent of multilateralism, multiculturalism, and multilingualism. I pledged that impartiality would be the hallmark of our operation. My team and I will do our best to push for solutions through solidarity, sustainability, and science, the motto I've chosen for this presidency. It is my intention to stand firm on the principles of the United Nations Charter, which brought us together 77 years ago and which holds us together today. Anchored in international law, they provide us with a solid foundation from which to build. From here, I wish to pursue integrated approaches and enhance the role of science in our decision shaping. I will work to foster measurable progress in the sustainability transformation and cultivate the solidarity we need to achieve breakthroughs or to avert further crises and disasters. Taking stock of the Sustainable Development Goals is simply not enough. We need to have more science by our side if we want to realize the goals by 2030. And we all must put in one more effort, because, as said by Abraham Lincoln, you cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. Excellencies, while humanitarian needs are at an all-time high, the solutions to them are well known. The United Nations is able to bring resources to provide life-saving assistance. We must use them to the best of our abilities. We cannot let geopolitical tensions or distrust to ultimate obstacles to the preservation of human rights and human dignity. Human rights are inherent to all of us. Justice and the rule of law are essential to shaping a world in which the respect of human rights and the fundamental freedoms will prevail. Next week's high-level meeting to mark the 30th anniversary of the Declaration on the Rights of Persons Belonging to National or Ethnic, Religious and Linguistic Minorities will be an opportunity to embrace human rights and take a holistic approach to them. I invite all member states to incorporate voluntary pledges in their national statements to jointly advance the implementation of the Declaration and ensure that this meeting has a positive and forward-looking outcome. In that realm, I look forward to working in partnership with the Human Rights Council and take this opportunity to congratulate Mr. Volker Türk on his appointment as UN High Commissioner on Human Rights. I will do my utmost to bring our offices in closer communication. Excellencies, throughout my work, I will engage closely with the Security Council, the Economic and Social Council, and other relevant UN bodies. I intend to further the critical revitalization process, as well as pursue the ongoing key reforms led by the Secretary General to make the General Assembly and the United Nations as a whole fit for purpose. But governments do not have a monopoly on good ideas. Listening and learning must transcend these walls. As we deliberate, we must meaningfully engage with our civil society partners, academics, the private sector, enabling researchers and practitioners to lend solutions that are rooted in facts, verified information, and science. Civil societies hold first-hand knowledge, which is critical to the identification and implementation of context-specific solutions. It is vital that we seize this opportunity to be inclusive, ensuring that civil society feels ownership over and belonging in multilateralism. We must also reach out actively to young people, engaging them in what we do, so that when they sit in these seats, they could come with better plans and better ideas than we did. My door will always also be open to faith-based organizations. Many ideas of them do overlap with those of the United Nations. I am also reaching out to the private sector and key financial institutions. I intend to work closely with them, listen to their concerns and their ideas, and search for implementable solutions together with them. As COVID-19 restrictions are lifted, this will be the first year since the pandemic. However, due to the saddening pass away of a head of state respected by millions across the globe, the beginning of this high-level week might be affected by coinciding obligations of many leaders. I offer my sincere condolences to the people of the United Kingdom and the member states of the Commonwealth of Nations. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the United Nations was created out of the ashes of war and destruction, with the intention of being a well of solutions. Responding to humanity's most pressing challenges demands that we work together and that we reinvigorate inclusive, networked, and effective multilateralism and focus on that what unites us. It is our mission to come together when there are disagreements and to build bridges when there are deep divides. This whole was created as a place to build trust, to bring about peace and security, development and human rights. We owe it to our 8 billion constituents, the people we are here to serve, to succeed in our aims. I thank you. I now give the floor to the Secretary General of the United Nations, His Excellency Antonio Guterres.
Mr. President of the General Assembly, Excellencies, let me start by warmly congratulating His Excellency Csaba Kőrösi, the President of the 77th session of the General Assembly. Mr. President, your acceptance speech provided an inspiring motto to guide your stewardship of this Assembly. I quote, "Solutions through solidarity, sustainability, and science," end of quote. All three ingredients are essential as we address shared challenges and develop solutions for a better, more peaceful future. I would also like to take this opportunity to once again thank the outgoing President, His Excellency Abdullah Shaib, for his excellent stewardship of this Assembly over the last year. We all appreciate his efforts during what was a truly extraordinary moment in history. Mr. President, Excellencies, the many challenges that define the 76th session are still very much with us as we look to the 77th. We face a world in peril across our work to advance peace, human rights, and sustainable development. From conflicts and climate change, to a broken global financial system that is failing developing countries, to poverty, inequality, and hunger, to divisions and mistrust, addressing common challenges will require continued solidarity as we demonstrate the great promise and potential of this organization. The United Nations is the home of cooperation, and the General Assembly is the life within that home. You represent the beating heart of global cooperation. The months ahead will continue testing the strength and durability of the multilateral system this organization represents. And the world is looking to the members of the Assembly to use all the tools at your disposal to negotiate and forge consensus and solutions. Debate, deliberation, diplomacy. These eternal tools represent the best pathway to a better, more peaceful world. Mr. President, the 77th session must be a moment of transformation for people and planet alike. The time is now, and you can count on my full support to the work of this Assembly in the year ahead. Thank you.
I thank the Secretary General. Now, I would like, in keeping with established practice, to invite the attention of the General Assembly to document A/77/334. It contains a letter from the Secretary General addressed to the President of the General Assembly, in which he informs the Assembly of Member States in arrears in the payment of their financial contributions to the United Nations within the terms of Article 19 of the Charter. I'd like to remind delegates that under Article 19 of the Charter, quote, "A member of the United Nations which is in arrears in the payment of its financial contributions to the organization shall have no vote in the General Assembly if the amount of its arrears equals to or exceeds the amount of the contributions due for it for the preceding 2 full years. The General Assembly may nevertheless permit such a member to vote if it is satisfied that the failure to pay is due to conditions beyond the control of the member," unquote. May I therefore take it that the General Assembly takes note of the information contained in the document A/77/334. It is so decided. I would now invite the General Assembly to turn to the appointment of the members of the Credentials Committee. Rule 28 of the Rules of Procedure provides that the General Assembly, at the beginning of each session, shall appoint, on the proposal of the President, a Credentials Committee consisting of 9 members. Accordingly, it is proposed that for the 77th session, the Credentials Committee should consist of the following member states: Angola, Austria, China, Guyana, Maldives, Russian Federation, United States of America, Uruguay, and Zambia. May I take it that these states that I've just mentioned are hereby appointed members of the Credential Committee? It is so decided. Delegates are reminded that credentials should be submitted to the Office of Legal Affairs. Additional details are available on the information note issued as A/INF/77/4/revision 1. The Assembly now turns its attention to document A/77/329, containing a letter dated 6 of September 2022 from the Chair of the Committee on Conferences addressed to the President of the General Assembly. Members are aware that pursuant to Section 1, Paragraph 7 of Assembly Resolution 40/243 of 18th of December 1985, no subsidiary organ of the General Assembly should be permitted to meet at United Nations headquarters during the main part of a regular session of the Assembly, unless explicitly authorized by the Assembly. In this connection, authorization is sought for the following entities: Committee on Relations with the Host Country, Independent Audit Advisory Committee, Committee on Non-Governmental Organizations, Conference on the Establishment of a Middle East Zone free of nuclear weapons and other weapons of mass destruction, Executive Board of the United Nations Development Programme of the United Nations Population Fund and of the United Nations Office for Project Services. Committee on the exercise of the inalienable rights of the Palestinian people. Executive Board of the United Nations Entity for Gender Equality and the Empowerment of Women, and ad hoc working group of the whole of the regular process. May I take it that it is the wish of the General Assembly to authorize these organs to meet during the main part of the 77th session of the General Assembly, on the strict understanding that all such meetings would be allocated services, conference services, on an if available basis from within existing resources in such a way as to ensure that the work of the General Assembly and its main committees is not impeded. It is so decided. And lastly, before concluding, I would like to inform delegations that the General Committee will meet tomorrow morning, Wednesday, September 14th, 2022, at 10 o'clock a.m. in the General Assembly Hall to consider the memorandum of the Secretary General on the organization of the 77th session of the General Assembly, adoption of the agenda and allocation of items issued as A/BUR/77/1. The first plenary meeting of the General Assembly at this 77th session is now concluded. The meeting is adjourned.